Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum. Dato. Ya, Dato.
Assalamualaikum Farid. Apa khabar?
Terima kasih Dato. Sudi untuk sesi pagi ni.
14 minit. Itulah orang pun tak apa ada Bila ready nanti lagi. Boleh start. Ada dapat slides tak? Saya hantar tu.
Dah bilang.
Tak dapat lagi. Saya hantar kat Dr. Ihsan.
Dato. Sekejap saya minta dengan Dr. Ihsan. Dr. Farid, Dato saya dah share slide Dato.
Um, tapi double screen kan? Okay. Invitation pun.
Nampak tak Dato?
Sekejap ya.
Ya, okey. Tapi kalau boleh full screen better.
Boleh share lagi sekali tak, Nabila? Okay. Full screen.
Dato okey ke?
Okey. Dah full screen dah. Kita punya YouTube. Dah keluar ya. Okey, kita dah ada 92 kucing. Menghampiri 100 dah, Dato'. Tunggu habis montaj, nanti kita boleh mula ya, Dato'.
Okey, boleh.
Okey. Okey, Dato'. Kita boleh mula ya, Dato'. Kita dah ready. Okey, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning to our speaker yang berbahagia Profesor Dato' Dr. Abu Bakar, Dato', Datin, Profesor Madia, Dr. ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the PRGS 2025 Research Webinar Session proudly organised by the Jabatan Penyelidikan dan Inovasi and Research Nexus UiTM ReNeU. We are delighted to have all of you to join us today as we embark on this insightful journey focused on enhancing our understanding of Prototype Research Grant Scheme PRGS proposal. We are especially privileged to have with us our distinguished speaker who will be sharing on an important topic, winning strategies to PRGS 2025. Before we start, allow me to introduce our esteemed speaker for today. Yang berbahagia Profesor Dato' Dr. Abu Bakar is a registered pharmacist with the Board of Pharmacy Malaysia. He served the board as its executive council member in 1996 to 1999 and 2016 to 2022. Dato' Prof. Abu Bakar has a Bachelor of Pharmacy degree from Al Ghazi University, Egypt, PhD in Neurophysiology from Sheffield University, United Kingdom, and Master in Business Administration from USM. In 1992 to 1993, Dato' Prof was a visiting scientist at a laboratory of neuroinformation processing, Brain Research Institute in Japan. In 2002, he became a Dean of Faculty of Pharmacy, University Tojimara UiTM. Between 2009 until 2014, he was Assistant Vice Chancellor for Research and then AVC for Medical and Dental Campus. Yang berbahagia Prof. Datuk became a Rector of UiTM Selangor in 2017. Datuk Prof was made the Director Research Management Center RRMC UiTM from 2021 to 2022. In August 2022, he returned as a Dean of Faculty of Pharmacy, UiTM. Dato' Prof has been a member of Board of Governor IMU University Kuala Lumpur since 2019. At the national level, yang berbahagia Prof. Dato' Dr. Abu Bakar is a Head Clinical and Health Cluster Research Grant Scheme RGS and member Task Force for High Impact Center of Excellence High COE of Ministry of Higher Education MOHI, Malaysia. Dato' Prof is also a founding member of National Bioethics Council under Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation Malaysia and becoming its chairman between 2016 to 2018. As an avid writer of science and technology, yang berbahagia Prof. Dato' Dr. Abu Bakar has written and edited over 20 academic books and more than 100 research articles in respectable journals. Dato' Prof research interests Alzheimer's disease, drug delivery to the brain and bioethics. Yang berbahagia Prof. Abu Bakar is a winner of 2023 Helen Clark Journal of Pharmaceutical Policy and Practice, UPPP Award for Pharmaceutical Policy and Practice Research based on the scientific merit of his work as well as the impact of his work on patient, decision maker and governance. During today's session, yang berbahagia Prof. Dato' will share invaluable insight to help us align our proposal with winning strategies of PRGS grant. We encourage all of you to actively participate and prepare any question you may have for the Q&A segment at the end of the sharing session. So without further ado, let us give virtual welcome to Yang Berbahagia Prof. Dato Dr. Abu Bakar. Prof, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Yang Bahagia Dr. Farid, to all organizers from Nexus, also from RMC and Pejabat TNCPI. And to all participants, welcome, good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So we'll go through PRJS briefing, which I accidentally gave, I think, 2 days ago to University of Malaya. Almost similar, I think, briefing. I've added a few more slides for today's discussion among our UiTM potential PRGS applicants and hopefully recipients. Yeah? Okay, thank you very much to Secretary for running the slides for me. Next slide, please. Okay, looking back to PRGS 2024, basically this was the situation. This was the, at that time, the feeling was almost like this among the assessors. We did not have enough proposals that we could actually support to give up all the money, all the allocation for PRGS 2024. So basically what we were trying to say that there's money, please take the money, please come up with proposals so that we can actually award you with the money. So PRGS almost always, the amount of money available is always more than the number of projects that come in, or the total fund required by projects that come into the selection process. Unlike FRGS, of course, we always have too many proposals and a lot of requests for finance, but the money has always been limited, and that's why it's very competitive. So for PRGS, basically, it is not too competitive. It is really up to you. If you can come up with a good game plan, we would be more than happy to support your proposal, because we do have the fund to give out for PRGS projects. Thank you. Next slide, please. So first things first, you have to, of course, visit this website for you to be familiar with PRGS. The documents are all there. But sadly today, and for the last few days, I noticed that this website was not functioning. We hope that it will be up and running soon. Yeah. But here at this website, next, you'll see this announcement. And then when you click on the announcement, you will come to this page. Next slide. Where you can actually, okay, next one, download the guidelines or Garis Panduan PRGS 2025. And this is a document that you must refer to. And all your writings after this will depend on the requirements of this document. Please read this document at least up to a section of application. If you are not keen to know how the proposal will be assessed or evaluated, then don't worry about penilaian part. But if you if you're able, please read the whole document. Yeah. Next slide, please. And also, as usual, as per FRGS, you also need to refer to these two documents. One is on tadbir urus dana penyelidikan or governance or tata kelola for dana penyelidikan under KPT. And the other one, we always have to refer to the Malaysian Code of Responsible Conduct in Research by National Science Council. So these two still can be referred to, and you can in fact put this, that they have referred to this in your writing in the form somewhere. Yeah? Next slide, please. So looking at PRGS, of course, we have to understand the philosophy so that we will be able to submit something which is in line with the philosophy. So falsafahnya ialah kebanyakan hasil penyelidikan pembangunan prototipe tidak dapat dikomersialkan kerana hasil penyelidikan masih di peringkat rendah. Can we go back to the philosophy kejap? Previous slide. Okay. Masih di peringkat awal. Untuk kesinambungan, for continuity, PRGS has been established or developed untuk membantu merapatkan jurang antara penemuan penyelidikan from fundamental research to commercialization bagi tujuan penciptaan teknologi baru, idea baru, inovasi baru selaras dengan keperluan negara, ekonomi or now digital economy dan pelaksanaan model ekonomi baru or model ekonomi madani. So basically, hopefully, so much has been done previously, but it always falls under the sometimes referred to as the valley of death after idea has been, put in to develop a fundamental research, and then it just dies off. So we need to have a grant that can be the conduit or the bridge between the fundamental to pre-commercialization. So this is what PRGS is all about. As you will see later, the TRL level or the technology readiness level, TRL, expected is not that high, it's between 3 to 5 out of the 9 TRL levels, where 9 is the marketing of the product. Yeah? 1 is the fundamental research. So 3 to 5 are considered not so very downstream. Yeah? It's about just before pre-commercialization. So that's the philosophy. And when you are writing your proposal, make sure you have in mind what the philosophy is all about. And if you fit into this philosophy, then of course, there's no reason to reject your proposal. Next slide, please. So what is it? If we were to define PRJS, basically dana yang diwujudkan bagi pembangunan prototipe untuk merapatkan jurang di antara penemuan makmal atau penyelidikan sehingga sebelum pengkomersialan. Ini termasuk, okay, these are the scope that will be supported under PRJS, which we'll go into later also. Proof of concept, POC, evaluation atau penilaian prototipe dihasilkan, upscaling atau skala naik, ujian preclinical testing. So clinical trial is not included here. It's not going to be supported here because that one will involve a normally big study and a very high amount of budget required. For PRJS, the money is just enough to do preclinical testing, a bit in the lab and maybe a bit involving small group of subjects. And for field testing atau ujian lapangan. So these are the 5 scopes that still being maintained from many years back as the scope for PRJS 2025. The objective of PRJS ialah penyelidikan ini bertujuan untuk membantu merapatkan jurang. Again, from basic to commercialization. Next slide, please. For this 2025 guidelines, ada beberapa penambahbaikan. There are few changes, amendments, but these are all spelled out in the second page of the document. So you can have a look. These are not major, very small amendments, small changes, and you can refer to all the sections. Basically, most of the changes involve the budgeting, how to write a budget, what is included, what is not included. There's also a reminder to us that for patent filing, you can apply for some money to pay for the process of patent filing, and that can be included under vote 29,000. So that's also included in the reminder of the changes that have been made for the 2025 version of the guidelines. Next slide, please. Again, in terms of domains or clusters, they are still the same. We still have 7 domains as per FRGS. So you may choose whichever is relevant to you. You know your area very well, but I must say that all domains, there are possibilities of coming up with a product or with a prototype. So you're all eligible. Perhaps under SNT, we're looking more at a prototype as in a tangible product. But for social sciences, for example, it can be in other forms, maybe a framework of solution. For example, a kit, a questionnaire, psychometric testing, for example. So these so-called products under the non-SNT can be in various forms. Maybe it can even be you know, a model or something, even a policy, if you can argue that your policy can change things. Yeah? We'll see what are the kind of criteria for PRGS proposal. Yeah. Next slide, please. Untuk syarat, these are the conditions for application to apply. The criteria, for example, for PI, we are all eligible at UiTM because the minimum requirement is for master's degree, and we are all under the University Awam or public university category. And for the team member, the PI must at least have one researcher who is a Malaysian, who is under full-time employment with UiTM, not contract, full-time. Also must have similar interest, similar expertise in the area that you are submitting. And also this person will be designated as the next appointed leader. If you are not a Malaysian, you can be PI, but we still need that requirement for a Malaysian who is a full-time staff of the university to be your co-researcher who will take over from you in any case that you have to withdraw. So this person will be the next appointed leader. So this is the minimum requirement of 2 persons, but I'll tell you what is the reasonable number of members and also the PI. Next slide, please. So for criteria penilaian, how we're going to assess the proposal. Again, the proposal must fall into or under one of the scopes. Proof of concept, meaning you've done fundamental, done for TRL 1 and 2. And now we want to move a bit upwards to providing proof of the concept of that you have developed under fundamental. And then you can do a bit of evaluation, either evaluation in-house or preferably evaluation in the real situation, probably in the field. It can be upscaling. For example, you produce something small scale in the lab, like 1 gram something, then you want to now produce it up to 5 kilograms, for example. That is an upscaling effort. Yeah. It can be preclinical, normally involve toxicological study or a bit of early study for involving human. So this is preclinical. Maybe for cosmetics, this preclinical is quite well known for nutraceutics. A bit of testing on several subjects, of course, with approval of ethical committees and so on. It can be ujian lapangan when you already have, for example, I mentioned a questionnaire or maybe a solution to something you can now test, in the field. So that is able to be supported under PRGS. So basically, the criteria for PRGS is the prototype yang memberi impak kemanusiaan, meaning that prototype when developed fully and marketed will have an impact on humanity, society, basically to enhance the quality of life. I think all innovation, all products that have been produced basically with that aim. Without that aim, of course, there'll be no demand. So as long as the product that you have can improve, either improve quality of life, improve how the industry work, for example, berpotensi untuk menjana industri berasaskan ilmu, pengetahuan baru. It cuts across all industries, whether technology industry or service industry. And atau these are all possibilities. Prototype yang berpotensi menyumbang kepada agenda strategic negara. If you can argue that your solution will be able to hit on some of the national strategic agenda, for example, food security, medicine security, or general security. So all this, if can be, convinced, you can convince the assessors that your output will have an impact on either or any one of these, either to humanity, to industry, or to national strategic agenda. So these are the criteria for selection. Next slide, please. So for this 2025 PRGS, so this is 2025, the duration is 1 or 2 year project, and the ceiling is 500,000. This has been there for many years, so the ceiling is higher than FRGS, if you notice. And normally assessors will give you the amount that you require if you can, you can justify and you can prove that this is the right amount. So we have that 500,000 limit, and we would hope to be able to, as much as possible to reach that limit. Otherwise, any amount 300, 400,000 is also possible. Next slide, please. So most importantly, in my grants, when you are able to get into it, access it, please update your profile, your co-researcher's profile. So profile means at least your experience, what you have done, your research projects, your supervision, papers that you have published, your collaboration within that industry, all that if you can put in your profile, then when the assessor, first thing I think we do as an assessor, we will look at the PI and we click on the name and we see the profile. The PR has to show that they are very committed, that they are very passionate, and they really want this grant by updating their profile to show their seriousness and commitment. Yeah? Next slide, please. And for this PRGS 2025, it has been stated, do not use Gen AI to generate your ideas or to do, especially the idea part. Yeah? You want to do some bit of editing of your proposal, yes, you can use, but make sure that whatever is done is not totally beyond your ideas. Your ideas must be there. If you want to do any corrections or editing, don't make it ideas totally coming from the Gen AI facility. Yeah? There's a reason for this, especially if you understand PRGS rightly. Yeah? The aim is to have something that is protected and belong to you and the university. So the IP is very crucial for PRGS, and for IP to be without any problems, without any pollution, without any distraction, that IP has to be novel and has to be genuine. So should not be related to any of Gen AI source. Yeah? So that's why larangan penggunaan Gen AI ini is very clear, clearly spelled out in PRGS 2025. Next slide, please. So basically, to check whether you are eligible or not, if you have previous grants, well done, but you must show that you have, for PRGS previously, you have completed the grant and you have presented to the committee at the ministry level, committee for PRGS, listening to your final report. If you have any other grant, for example, FRGS or anything, make sure you update your progress report, and the 6 monthly report, make sure you are, you are there always. So you can actually apply for PRGS even if you have an ongoing FRGS. There is no stopping there. So please, if you have the opportunity, if you are eligible, please apply. And of course, the requirement that you should already have one completed FRGS as per declared by or as per endorsed by RMC, or any other competitive grant that you have obtained. The internal grants of UiTM like DOOPS and everything else, they are actually dynamic grants. They are okay. They fall into this category of a competitive grant, because UiTM doesn't just freely give you these grants. You have to compete and bid for the grant. So even having internal grants that have been completed successfully, you can come to PRGS using these grants as your prerequisite grant. Okay. All right. Whatever it is, check with RMC so that you're sure that you are eligible to apply. RMC also has to make sure that you are eligible before they send up to KPT. So next slide, please. So for PI, as mentioned earlier, you must be a Malaysian. Even if you're not a Malaysian, you still can, but your contract, if you're on contract, your contract must still have 2 years of, before it expires. You have 2 or 24 clear months before the contract expires. I know this is quite difficult for our contract staff because normally they're given one or two, but 1+1. So if you need to confirm, you can check with RMC how to show that you still have at least 2 years coming up. Yeah, somehow, if RMC can work with Pendaftar's office, for example, to come up with, um, you know, um, a letter to show that yes, he's eligible, although he's on 1+1, he's eligible for that for 2 years or 2+1 and so on. So RMC can probably still help you. You know. And again, I mentioned earlier, you should have one co-researcher in your area, make sure, who can take over in case anything happens to you. So this will be the next appointed leader. And he has to be a Malaysian. He has to be with UiTM. Yeah? And he has to be an expert in that area. Next slide, please. So for team members, actually you can now include someone from the polytechnic or community college outside UiTM to be your co-researcher. I think this is very much well encouraged actually. If you can have someone from polytechnic, Shah, for example, which is a very high esteemed polytechnic, get one member from them or any other polytechnic or community colleges. Yeah. So this is very much encouraged. Next slide, please. Okay. Again, I mentioned earlier, you should have, the two-way grace period where you're going to be with UiTM before you're eligible for those on contract. So depending on our deadline at the ministry levels, so I think deadline ministry level now is 15 April. So if you have a contract that is up to 14 April 2027, then you can apply. So that's the time frame that you're looking at. The February deadline, I think, is at UiTM. So we're not sure. I was informed that deadline is not going to be tomorrow. It will be extended a bit because of the migrants problem with migrants system. Make sure again, your profile, your co-researchers profile are all updated in migrants. Next slide, please. Again, the number is best to have a certain number. Minimum 2, yes, but I guess 6 would probably be a good number where you have PI, 1 PI and 5 co-researchers. Of course, all will have to contribute to the project. And for PRGS, you can also include your postdocs. If you have ROs, remember ROs, not GRA, they can also be included in your team. Yeah. I mean, actually, GRA, it depends. If they're GRA, but they want to double up as RO, I think that is not a problem. But you cannot claim salary for GRA. Claim the salary for an RO or postdoc. But the postdoc salary is not postdoc, but considered as RO, because RO, the minimum requirement is that he or she should have just a bachelor degree. Yeah. So all this should be included or should be uploaded or should be notified in my grant system. Yeah. Okay, next slide, please. We do have the previous slide, right? So a bit patah balik 2 slide. Satu lagi. This one, yeah. On those on sabbatical leave. Of course, if you are now on sabbatical, basically you're not eligible. But of course, the process of evaluation, PRJS, everything will take place. And if, for example, there is a chance that you'll come back once the evaluation has been completed, then I think you can discuss with RMC whether you can apply or not. depending on RMC's comment. Yeah? But otherwise, for those on leave, study leave or sabbatical leave or industry leave, whatever, they are not eligible to apply. Yeah? Next slide, please. And next one. Okay, this one important requirement for PRGS is, of course, the patent search. And for patent search PRGS, this is a must, unlike FRGS, which is encouraged. So please do your patent search diligently. Yeah? And the easiest is to use Lens. Then when you look at your, when you get your results from the patent search, you have to write a narrative of the results. Because we don't just expect the assessor to assess based on whatever documents you have uploaded in terms of figures and so on. You have to write a paragraph of your findings or your output from the search. Yeah? What about whether the product is being looked at by many groups, may not be too novel after all, or it is now being interest is slowly eroding for this particular product. Maybe there's a reason for you to go into it, because you may be able to find out of or provide solutions which others would think that they have no idea of moving further. So if the interest is declining, it doesn't mean that the product is necessarily going into the sunset. It may still be a sunrise sunrise interest, because it's just a matter people do not have any other fresh insight into uh, finding the solution to that problem. Yeah. So if you can argue in whatever ways, I think the patent search, you can use it to support for your own, for your own good, to support your proposal. Okay. So in the form, next slide, please. In the form, um, you write in this area what you have found about the product that you intend to develop further. Next slide, please. And normally there's a form that you have to fill up, compulsory section 1 and 2 for all domains, but for social science 3, 4, and SNT 5 to 8. So just don't put yes without remarks. You have to add in the remarks. For example, the next slide, I'll show you the example of a successful grant. Next slide, please. And how the PI and team, they have, fully explained the findings and what it meant to them in this section, so that this will help the assessor to consider the viability of this project. Again, I mentioned it doesn't matter whether when you do search, interest is going up or going down, as long as you are able to justify that your work still matters or is still relevant, then please use this column, remarks column, to write down what you feel about your upcoming products. Next slide, please. See how much they have written. So it's fully explained, yeah? And this gives the assessor a bit more knowledge or information for them to make the right decision. Next slide, please. Okay, this is one thing which is important. And, for PRGS, you can write simply, the minimum, or you can write and inform assessors extra things, which I consider as the extra mile that you go through to convince the assessors that you are the right person to conduct the research. For example, for industrial partnership, most people would just send a one-page letter of intent, to the upload to under in my grants. But you can also work with industry for them to write in something regarding how they're going to be involved in the project, what would their contributions be. It doesn't necessarily mean in terms of finance. In fact, finance is not a must. They can give support, or they can work with you by giving contribution in kind. So, but write this thing down. Write this thing down in the letter, so that the letter is more convincing. Just not one So you have to work closely, nicely with your collaborators, with the industry partner, for them to come up with a strong letter of collaboration or commitment. So for PRGS, of course, industry is a must for SNT as usual, but non-SNT you can also involve agencies, government agencies, not necessarily industry. But if you can have industry, that is even better for future development of your product. So industry is very important. The industry also should be with you when you're pitching, you show support, and hopefully they will also support you in writing your product marketing plan. Right, next slide, please. So for the industry, uh, PRGS has put up some requirements of the industry that it is an industry which is involved in areas which are related to the product to be developed or to the proposal, and they can give commitment in terms of support, or you can do part of your work at the industry, and hopefully they have the capacity to bring further your product towards market in the future after you completed PRGS, for example. So all this, if mentioned in the letter, that will tremendously help your proposal. That's why I said this will give the extra mile for your proposal, for the assessors to consider that this proposal is very highly viable. Next slide, please. So again, mention or write up a narrative of your collaboration with the industry. So all about writing narrative. It's not just ticking yes, no. So learn to write a nice paragraph of, patent search findings, nice paragraph of your collaboration, and also nice paragraph of the risk involved in conducting this project. Next slide, please. So coming on to the risk, again, evaluate the risk meticulously, evaluate the risk carefully, and you don't want to be too taking or proposing project which are all high risk in terms of technical risk, time risk, and also budget risk. If all are high risk, then the assessors would feel compared to another project which is of lower risk, then maybe that project will get the go ahead. So be careful. I think if all three high, may not be too competitive. Same if they're too low, the risks are all low. So again, it doesn't sound to be an attractive proposal, an intense proposal. So try to balance between low, high, and medium level of risk for all these three categories. But write them down in the paragraph why you think. If the risk is high, for example, technically, write why. Tell them why. Time-wise, if it is low risk, high risk, tell them why. So this is what you should do in the narrative. Take advantage of the space available for you to express your opinion on your project regarding risk, which I think now is becoming very crucial in terms of project funding, funding of projects. Next slide, please. Okay. Again, like I mentioned, this is the risk part. So identify, normally medium, maybe one high. So that would probably reflect on your project more favorably. Yeah. Next slide. Okay, finally, you confirm all this requirement, yeah, and this will be helped by RMC. Next slide, please. So, in terms of output, what is the expected outcome? Something that you can promise the funding agency. Number one is that each project must produce one prototype, and this prototype should have these features, yeah, and these features meaning that they are moving towards pre-com, and there is ability or possibility of them getting a pre-com. This you must highlight in your proposal, that after pre-prototype, you're going for example, cradle fund, you're going for tech fund, and the MOSTI. So at least indicate that by the time you complete your project, you will have the confidence to move into commercialization or into other pre-com or commercialization funds available. And also, you would have achieved the TRL level of 3 to 5. If we uh, refresh, you were to refresh regarding the TRL level, let's look at the next slide. What is 3 to 5? So in the next slide, please, we'll have this TRL level. So 3 meaning proof of concept, validation, for example, then lab validation. Previous one was, for example, analytical validation. Second is lab validation, meaning at the lab level, this thing is possible. This thing can be done at the lab level. And 5 is validation in the real situation. So if you can arrive at one of these 3 stages, this is considered to be already fulfilling the requirements or objectives of PRGS. Yeah. So the rest of TRL level can be accomplished through your PROCOM or commercialization fund. But if you can move from using PRGS up to 6 or even 7, that is, more than welcome. That is acceptable. But 3 to 5 is just an indication. If you can move further down, then that is even better. Yeah? Okay, next slide, please. So the other requirement or output of PRGS is one IP. So they did not specify that it has to be patent, but patent is most encouraged, most wanted. But you can also promise a copyright, trade secret, or industrial design, or geographical indication, layout of IC, and so on. So any one of these potential IP that you can produce, you can highlight. If you think you can get to file a patent, that is the best that you can do. All right. So remember, this is a requirement for PRGS. A patent must be there. Next slide, please. So the other thing is that if there is a chance, who knows, through PRGS, you're able to move into commercialization, or later, a few years down the road, you are able to commercialize, then whatever income, benefit, sharing of income, this can be done using the existing policy of the university. And most universities, I think they would follow requirements or suggestions by JPA in terms of breakdown, how much goes to the PI, to the team, how much goes to the university, how much goes to the industry. So all has to be tied up. Eh? When you do PRGS, of course, it's always good to have MOA with the industry, yeah? So that you already spell out something along that line. Although we are not sure about income and so on, but at least there is a mention of percentage, for example. Yeah? All right, next slide, please. So this is also a strong requirement, or strongly encouraged, strongly expected, that you can come out with a paper together with your industrial collaborator, joint paper. And it doesn't matter where you index this paper, where is it indexed under WS or whatever, but at least there is a, in terms of affiliation of authors, we have the industry as part of the writing team or authorship team. Yeah? So please do this, and you can make a promise in your proposal that you're going to do this. Also in the paper, make sure you declare, acknowledge this grant, PRGS, KBT, for it to be counted. But for pay of APC, or the processing charges, article processing charges, this is not allowed. You cannot claim under vote 29,000. So maybe if you want to publish, you can publish in journals that do not charge anything. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be Q1 WS, but anything index is also already accepted. And finally, on publication, please remember to ensure you've completed the IP protection process before you actually publish. You don't want to disclose before you have been able to file. So file first, make sure IP protection is there, and then only you um, then only you publish. Okay, please remember this. Once you publish, then it may be difficult for you to go for IP protection. Yeah. Next slide, please. Okay, there's one section that people always, you know, they have a bit of a misunderstanding or confusion here under product marketing plan. This is something that you have to write. I think about 300 to 500 words you have to write something, but it's not about the business model of your product. It's not about how much you intend to sell, how many items you intend to sell, how much profit you're going to bring in. That's not the thing. But perhaps a mention of, because in the end PRGS is not about having your product already in the market, it's just preparing for it to go to market. So what is needed here is an estimation of the market demand, probably the current figure you have, but the future figure you can forecast. So of course based on materials or documents published as well elsewhere, government documents, Ministry of Finance, or under the new industrial master plan. So there can be some forecast here, or from the Edge newspaper, from media, which are respectable media. So you can put the numbers there, and then also how the company is going to assist you in enhancing the value of your product once you get into the market. How they're going to help you. Of course, we hope that the company that you are working with, collaborating with, will do this for you. And finally, why you think your product will generate interest among users, yeah, and can bring, of course, revenue finally to the university and also to the company. So these are the things that you write in the product marketing plan, not really, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year plan. How you're going to get the product to market, how much you're going to sell, what's the revenue, what is the cost. uh, it's not those kind of things. It's not too, I think, business model like. It's more like writing about the potential, about the feasibility of your product being accepted by the public. All right, next slide, please. Thank you. So finally, before we end, what a winnable PRGS proposal, what does it look like? Yeah. So for a successor, we look at these things. Yeah. Number one is that the document must be well organized, easy to read. So you don't need to write too long for PRGS. Can be just a nice. The idea is important. The writing need not be too uh, lengthy, too superfluous. The writing should be just nice, concise, easy to read, and understandable, clear. And then it must, of course, respond to the PRGS 2025 announcement or the RFP, request for proposal. If you write something else, you write not along the requirement of PRGS, then definitely it will not be supported. And it should tally, or it should relate to the goals and objectives of PRGS as per stipulated in the document. That's why I always refer to the document. If you don't look at the document, you just simply write the proposal, you are going to get nowhere. Surely you're going to deviate from the purpose, and that will be the reason for the project to be not supported, to be just disregarded. So next is that whatever you write, whatever problems that you try to solve, at least have a fresh insight, have a fresh approach, have a new thinking or innovative way to do it. Because normally people come with things that have been there, that have been done before a lot, and hoping to be supported. Sometimes they call the Me Too approach, the Me Too project. So everybody is doing that. I also want to do that. No, you have to have a reason why yours is different, why yours is innovative, and why your project has a fresh insight. Yeah, because the writing must be clear, like I mentioned, and show the enthusiasm and commitment that the researcher is really interested, really keen, really wanting to have this grant for them to move forward. So that enthusiasm will be seen in terms of the writing, which is clear, which is not sloppy, which is concise, full of information, relevant information, and with a strong intent to carry through the project successfully. Then evidence that the PI knows the field. So this should be, as mentioned earlier, should be seen in your profile. Please update, please upgrade your profile. And then, of course, we need to see the competitive grant or grants that you have, previously obtained, completed, or conducted. And for PRGS, it's also helpful. This is from another person who successfully managed to get the grant, to include as much preliminary data as possible from your previous grant. So compile all the data from your previous grants that are relevant to this particular proposal. This will become the basis for your new proposal of PRGS. So when they see that you've done the fundamental quite a lot, so they're more convinced to give you the money so that you can move forward. Otherwise, the risk will be very high. And don't show that you're going to go back, do fundamental in the proposal. That is done, gone. The train has left the station. You say, no, you want to move forward just to the PRGS level. Don't show any fundamental aspects. So look at the scope. When you look at the scope, then you understand. Look at the TRL level, then you understand what is meant by fundamental. Quite a number of projects, PRGS, were declined because the comment is that the project is at a fundamental research level or stage. So don't show this. The fundamentals should have been done, taken care by your previous projects that you have completed. All right, so again, preliminary data, show data in the best possible way, infographics. Your proposal should have lots of figures, rather than uh, words and words and words. Please use figures, use diagrams, sketches, so that easy for the assessor to follow. And they normally look livelier than wordy proposals. And then the budget, please do a good budget. You should know where you can apply, or which budget has caps. So, but the system will also help you, will lock you if you exceed certain parameters. But do the budgeting properly. Again, the ceiling is 500,000. You can have your ROs, for example. It doesn't mean that if a 2-year project, you need to use the RO throughout. The idea of PRJ is that you need the RO during part of your study, maybe 6 months, maybe 12 months, maybe 18 months. But you don't need to employ the RO for 12, 24 months. Yeah. So that's the idea, only when required. And then the rest of the budget, you can go for traveling, but not to attend, innovation, IDEX, or these are not allowed. Just to travel for things related to your project in terms of data collection, finding more information, discussing with the relevant people. So these are the things that you can do if you need to travel. Then you can ask for some rentals, some repairs, minor repairs, and even equipment. If you need an equipment which is relevant to the work, you can apply. So think about it, how you're gonna budget for about 300 to 500,000 of PRGS. Okay, we're gonna get to the question very shortly. We are finishing. So the industry partner should also show commitment quickly, yeah, and show commitment strongly. Yeah? And the support is seen by them attending, for example, the pitching at university level, at UiTM, and also at the ministry level. This will be good. And finally, the final slide, all this done, remember the last slide, having done all this, yes, you must be able to do a super hot pitching at the university and at KPT. And pitching, we have the things required for pitching. Time is short, so sell your ideas quickly and convincingly. So that's the thing about PRGS. I know I've missed out certain things in the garis panduan. Please look them up, and please always refer to these garis panduans in writing your proposal. Okay, those are the slides that I intend to present. The final slide is just a thank you slide. So, bolehlah kita ke soalan, Dr. Farid?
Okay, Prof, thank you very much for such a helpful presentation. I'm sure everyone here has gained wealth knowledge on preparing PRGS proposal effectively. Okay, Prof, we have one question. Salam, Prof. nak tanya untuk hasil kalau dah ada copyright untuk sesuatu application tapi nak improve buat validation on the app, possible tak atau memang kena create yang baru?
You have to create a new one for this particular grant. So kalau ada benda yang dah di copyrighted, for this one where you are enhancing or improving that facility, that apparatus, then you copyright the enhanced pula lah. You know, version 2.0, so copyright since tak mahal pun. So might as well you promise you're going to give another copyright which is related to the current PRGS. So please do another copyright, another IP lah basically. Jangan guna IP yang sudah ada.
Bro, related to that question tu, bila dah ada copyright tu nampak macam mungkin ada similarity of the previous project. So macam mana nak nampak lain ataupun lebih kepada pure research PRGS itself?
Itulah, I think copyright is always ada scope dia kan. Bila you apply for copyright, you only claim certain, it will not be orang kata meluas kan. So there's always scope for improvement, scope for revision, scope for enhancement tu. So the next copyright you go for that enhancement lah. So I rasa maybe the basic premise tu sama, tapi now the enhancement tu dia dah lain dah. Mungkin you guna platform baru ke kan, mungkin you dah add additional content kan, additional menu kan. So I rasa new copyright can be obtained. Tapi kalau ada daripada Bitkom nak komen boleh juga. But my thought is that every time you do new project, you enhance lah. You have 1 to 2 years kan, mesti boleh tambah dia punya features tu kepada yang sedia ada. Jadi you should promise a new copyright, a new IP tu.
Dato', can you share some common mistake that the applicant makes and how to avoid them? The common mistake, I think.
So, common mistake satu will be dia tak memenuhi syarat. Okay. Kadang-kadang somehow naik juga ke atas. Jadi bila assessors tengok syarat-syarat macam tak ada previous grant yang related, tak ada expertise, and then the industry pun tak sama kan. So these are the normal things that we should avoid. These are like macam soalan-soalan bocor lah kita boleh avoid. Kemudian secondly, of course, the fundamental katanya project masih fundamental, itu common. So be careful, tengok TRL level tu betul-betul, then you should be able to place where your proposal is. So avoid the proposal being seen as macam fundamental will be, for example, you go back to lab to do work, for example, on animal, nak study balik kesan ubat on animal, kesan chemicals on animal. Maknanya don't go back to basic lah. So that's the rest normal mistake. For example, dalam some of the section tu kita tak tulis, tak isi benda kan, biar kosong. Kemudian dari segi pengisian abstract kita pun tak mantap. Abstract dah bagi dah apa yang required for the abstract, just keep to that kan, mesti ada semua tu. Ikut je dia punya panduan tu, yang panduan yang benda yang mention dalam borang tu, ikut betul-betul ya, jangan deviate lah. Then add on something yang nampak creative and innovative from your perspective. So that's how you do it to avoid any disqualification, especially technical knockout tu. Yeah, avoid those things.
Okay, thank you, Dato'. In terms of methodology section, Dato', how detailed should be methodology section to convince the panda?
Okay, methodology is best to do flowchart, flowchart gambar. The detail sama macam FRJS juga, kita tak nak terlalu detail dalam sangat. Dia about right lah for someone not in the area pun dia boleh faham that the method tu orang kata in between lah, terlalu technical, terlalu panjang macam journal article, kepada terlalu simple tanpa memberi enough information untuk assessor convince that benda tu boleh dibuat, boleh dilakukan. So I would say the method tu banyakkan gambar raja, diagram, kemudian kalau boleh buat section by section, kalau ada 3-4 different projects, methods to do, clearly outline method 1 apa dia untuk objective 1 ke, method 2 untuk objective 2. Itu je buat biar nampak kata jelas kejelasan tu. Ya. And then like I said, jangan detail sangat macam kita tulis journal article yang ada isi semualah berapa mililiter guna air tu, tak. Dia macam general but enough for assessor to understand lah, ya.
In terms of commercialization, Dato, what are the best strategies to demonstrate to the panel feasibility and the commercialization potential?
Itulah dalam yang business plan or marketing plan tu, kat situ kita akan tulis. Contoh, the demand sekarang berapa? Let's say the demand sekarang value at 10 billion. Kat Malaysia, let's say value at 2 billion. Kan? The world 10 billion. Kemudian dia punya competitors berapa kan? Apa lagi ada produk lain kan? From where? China ke apa? Kemudian apa yang kita punya value proposition? Kita punya produk ni apa? Dia menuju ke arah affordability ke? Dia menuju ke arah quality ke? Dia menuju ke arah miniaturization ke?
Okay.
So apa yang kita punya itulah kelebihannya, niche kita. So kat situ kita highlight all these things lah untuk tunjuk viability and commercial feasibility tu. Tapi itulah kita dah agak dah, kita akan jual dengan harga 60 sen satu item. Mungkin dia akan tanya masa pitching tu, we can prepare lah kan. Sekarang produk ada kat pasaran berapa harga satu, you punya satu berapa, that may come later lah in pitching, but not at this stage. Kita pun tak boleh nak agak kan sebab kita tak tahu the operating cost. Cost of product berapa. So that is still a bit few more levels lah TRL untuk sampai.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Ini bagi Dato'. Produk PRGs ini kena dalam bentuk komersial sahaja ke menjana kewangan? Bagaimana dengan bentuk produk yang bermanfaat kepada agensi kerajaan ataupun bukan kerajaan seperti produk? Ada dua soalan kat situ.
Itulah sebab for S&T dia perlu industri.
Okay.
Yang penting industri. Tapi nanti kalau produk tu akan impact pada agensi kerajaan pun boleh lah. Ya. Sebab tu kata kita tak ada tunjuk apa or how much money can the product bring in the future, tak, bukan yang tu. For the product kan, kalau market punya demand tu kita boleh sebut how much, but produk tu nak buat banyak mana, tak. So mana dia tadi ada 3 contoh prototype yang akan impact on humanity's quality of life, then the impact industry, technology, development. Yang ketiga tu impact on national strategic agenda. So that one maybe tidak melibatkan perkiraan kos wang lah, ya. Itu mungkin dalam bentuk lain, impact to the country in another matter. For example, law kan, kalau dia buat satu PRGS, apa yang dia produce tu mungkin tak memberi duit, pulangan duit, tapi mungkin dia bagi some impact to national agenda untuk pertahanan kita di Selat Laut China Selatan ke apa. So itu mungkin bukanlah bentuk wang, ya. So wang is not the primary aim that you should promise lah. So the word commercialization tu mungkin a bit misleading, sebab commercialization we intend money kan, tapi sebab PRGS yang terakhir itu national strategic agenda, so maybe that can involve national security ke kan. So mungkin bukan duit semata-mata.
Datuk, dari segi perbezaan untuk PRGS tahun ini ya, 2025 dengan yang previous, ada tak major ataupun latest perbezaan di antara dua tahun tu? Dan ada tak setiap tahun tu ada tema-tema tertentu untuk meaning dia PRGS
Okey, kalau nak tengok dokumen PRGS tu yang saya letak slide atas sekali kan, dia punya perubahan agak kecil lah, minor, sikit-sikit je.
Okay.
Yang semua tu you all just find the section tu, you all tengok apa perbezaan. Tapi itulah dia dari segi PI tu dimasukkan contoh next appointed leader, kemudian bajet pun disuruh buat sedikit penambahbaikan kat situ. Otherwise tak ada yang major. second part tu kita tanya pasal apa?
Tema.
Tema tu tak ada, dia based on the domain tu. So tema boleh jadi broad lah. Tapi again, as usual, kadang-kadang bila ada benda yang berlaku pada masa itu, orang panggil the recency effect tu. Mana kalau sekarang ni tengah ada isu and you come up with a potential product to solve that issue kan. Sekarang ni orang let's say cakap pasal mungkin lah filter kan. Katanya filter pun tak dapat nak menahan certain types of material minerals yang again ada impact, so orang start guna air lain pula. Contoh air yang di treated for somehow, dia orang bawa air tu minum. So mungkin you have a solution to that, and so that's the in thing lah. So bergantung juga kepada perkara yang berlaku sekarang. So kadang-kadang you dah buat fundamental few years back kan. Mungkin today your fundamental you tak nampak ada kesesuaian. Tapi ada orang fundamental dia buat a few years back, tapi today tiba-tiba nampak macam ada relation to the problem today dengan the fundamental dia buat sebelum ni. Inilah masa dia nak orang kata strike the iron when it is hot, dia kata. Panas isu ni, you come with your previous work and you pandailah untuk menjual idea tu dengan mencantikkan idea you tu supaya dia selaras dengan keperluan masa kini, keperluan sekarang. Sama juga di bursa kan, kalau orang bisnes dia tengok di bursa sekarang apa isu kan. Adakah investor coming in, investor going out. So you may have another solution kan, mungkin you punya forecasting dah jadi lebih elok, all this thing, you come now, propose now, mungkin relevant. Dulu ada juga macam PRGS isu pasal agihan zakat yang tak apa mantap kan. So they came up with some model that they think can improve, so dapat kan grant. So ada banyak lagi isu ataupun masalah yang belum selesai, yang belum totally eradicated lah in this country. So you datang dengan solution yang boleh ke arah itu, of course the support will be there. So tema tak ada, tapi dia bergantung juga pada situasi semasa atau contemporary issues.
Saya tertarik dari tadi yang Datuk cakap, bila dah ada, mungkin dah buat previous research dan tiba-tiba sekarang baru rasa benda tu betul-betul pergi can go for prototype kan Prof. Jadi maksudnya kalau ada certain researcher, dia dah ada FRGS dah a few years ago, and then dia rasa boleh pergi untuk this year, tak ada masalah ya gap tu untuk jadikan as a base research grant untuk dibawa.
Tak ada masalah. Because we know kadang you buat fundamental, you pun tak tahu bila nak pakai kan.
Betul.
Bila idea tu akan jadi pertinent. Kadang 20 tahun down the road baru nampak kan. So your idea yang you created under fundamental tu is always viable lah bila berlaku demand for it kan. Masa itulah you masuk. Dan pandai-pandai lah, of course dia tak adalah 100% same, but you kena pandai-pandai mencantikkan proposal tu supaya you ke arah itu.
Okay Prof, Datuk, kita tak ada soalan lagi setakat ni. Cumanya setakat yang saya semak tadi, sistem migrants kita masih belum boleh dibuka. Kalau ikutkan tertutup besok lah di peringkat dalaman, tapi mungkinlah ada announcement daripada RMC nanti untuk bagi ruang dan peluang kita menulis balik lah. Kita harap semua ni selesai dengan cepat sebab FRGS pun masih tertangguh agak sikit hari tu, disebabkan ada masalah di migrants ni lah.
Okay. So, I pun rasa tadi nak tunjuk juga contoh projek kan.
Betul, tak boleh buka tu.
Tapi tak boleh, but what I've given you about the things that should be taken care of lah when you're writing. Satu lagi dalam kat migrant website tu ada satu facility where you can actually look out for proposal yang telah pun disokong sebelum ini.
Okay.
Of course the RGS program, PRJ ada FRGS. You just need to search kan, pergi dekat carian contoh kalau ada menu dia boleh cari menu projek lepas kan. Dekat website yang tadi tu portal migrants tu, you boleh cari. Kemudian just type your keyword, projek you nak buat supaya you tak orang kata overlap lah ataupun you tak duplicate projek yang telah pun diluluskan. Good check there kat situ semak kat situ.
Okay. Thank you Datuk. Okay, I think no more question Datuk. Maybe Dato' boleh bagi conclusion Dato', common conclusion for the PRGS 2025.
Betul lah, like I said, kita PRJ ni selalu tak cukup proposal yang masuk. Kita selalu akan ada orang kata apa, kesukaran untuk mencari projek. To be frank lah, kadang-kadang dah tak ada projek yang orang kata highly recommended kan. Kita turunlah ke recommended kan. Kadang-kadang kita turun ke yang orang kata borderline. Borderline. Markah tak tinggi sangat. Jadi kita dah tak ada sangat. So kita panggil juga untuk pitching. So when the pitching tu kita cuba assess kat situ lah. So mana dia punya benefit of the doubt tu kita bagi pada applicant sebab kita tak cukup proposal. Jadi hantar je what you have in mind. Tapi like I said tadi, avoid fundamental. So your project is moving further downstream. Kemudian do your level best to write a good informative. Semua ada requirement tu. Sit down with the team and agih-agihkan kerja. And I think sangat doable, boleh buat. Boleh buat. Yang banyaklah masa perlu tapi boleh buat. Dan selepas fulfill everything tu, kita akan buat penilaian di peringkat dalaman kan, dekat situ dia boleh improve nanti. So don't worry, after improvement, nanti sampai ke atas, like I said, just submit because we need your proposal. Selalunya kurang, especially of course non-SNT lah. Apa-apa idea you ada, many of you have done FRGS sebelum ni, banyak, ramai, ratus. So cubalah daripada situ, be brave to move further into a bit more application of your fundamental work tadi. So ada peluang ada, please sit and imagine if you get a grant, let's say lah, kalau tak banyak pun you dapat 200,000, 300,000. Kalau SNT boleh 400,000, 450,000. Imagine that will, keep your work supported for the next 3 years, 2 to 3 years now. Jadi kita tak payah pening kepala dah. Like I said again, the money is there for the taking. So please grab your money. Thank you.
Okay, thank you once again Yang Berbahagia Prof. Dato' Dr. Abu Bakar for your time and expertise. And to all participants, thank you for your engagement and assistance into this session. We hope you found it both informative and inspiring. Before we conclude, we'd like to remind you to fill out feedback from that form that will be shared. After this, on behalf of Jabatan Pendidikan and Inovasi, ReNeU, RMC, we wish all best in your research activities and your PRGS application. Thank you again, Dato', and have a great day for all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh. Salam. Slide tu jangan share lagi ya. Saya kena buang 2-3 slide.
Okay,
I'll let you know yang mana boleh share. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Dato', terima kasih banyak, Dato'.